Whew. Hey y'all, it's me. Happy Friday. So listen, I know I've talked about some things as far as my caregiving journey has gone, and I know that we know all the challenges that caregivers face and how challenging it can be. But I wanted to talk a little bit about um, the fact that I was chosen and why was I chosen, but more importantly, how do I know I was chosen? So there's a few things that happened when my sister got sick. First thing, we were in COVID. So I was working virtually, which allowed me to attend the hospital meetings, to be at the hospital more often, to be available. My job was extremely understanding and being flexible with my work schedule, and that was a blessing to me. When I decided to bring her home, she came home. She came home just as we were getting ready to go back into the office. My job had called us back to work. We were coming back into the office. But fortunately for me, a lot of people had moved away from Gainesville. So they were living in other states. And my company decided that they were not going to force those people to come back into the office and relocate, and they weren't going to let those people go. And I remember one of our founders said, we're going to do exceptional things for exceptional people. So when I realized I was going to bring her home, I went to my team lead and said, hey, listen, is there any way that I can continue to work remote? Because I want to bring her home. They was already aware of the fact that she had had the injury and knew what I was dealing with at home. So she said yes. She said, let me make sure, but yes, you can continue to stay at home and work remotely. And I'll never forget, I asked her one day, we were on a meeting, we had our weekly check-in calls, and I said, I know you all are going to let me continue to work remotely, but I want to make sure that we're clear, and I want to make sure that I know what the expectations of me are, so that I'm fulfilling them, because I am grateful of the fact that I'm being able to stay at home. And my team leader said, I expect that you will be taking care of your sister. And that was one of the most touching and rewarding things that my team lead could say to me was, you focus on your family first. And I will never forget her for that. She truly was there for me during this time, and it helped me adjust my schedule and just whatever I needed to do to make sure that my priority was my sister. So that was that. That was how I was able to stay home with her. In addition to that, I had a spare room in my house, fortunately. I mean, I know many people have a spare room, but not everybody has a spare room. In my case, I had a spare room that was just sitting there. So I actually decided to go out and redo her room. And so I did that. I made a whole week or two of it, preparing to make sure that I received her so that her space was adequate for her. I even prayed on what that would look like. What should her room look like? So there was like a lot of organization that I did. And like I said before, I know that I was meant to do it because I know how easy it came to me. The things that God laid on my heart and laid on my spirit to do and to work on and to get ready and prepare for her. So like I said, I was able to stay at home with her. That was the first thing. Then when we decided to bring her home, her brother decided that he would move into the home with us to help support so that I wouldn't be there by myself with her. So that was another blessing, that I had this full-time support in the house with me. In addition to that, there's a large family. There's a lot of siblings, and there's nieces, and there's even children. She had 2 children, excuse me, that were young adults at the time. And everybody just agreed that they would all help. Now, I'm going to caution you. I'm telling you now that everybody agreed that they was going to help. But as we get into the story, we will learn and we will find, you will learn, I already know because I experienced it, we'll see that as much help as you think you were going to have, you don't always have. But that doesn't mean that you wasn't chosen. And I know that I was still chosen, and I know that God gave me the gifts and gave me the talents that I needed to walk into this. And the main reason that I am sharing this with you all tonight, because I want you all to understand that you were chosen too. And because you were chosen, everything that you need has already been laid out for you, even though you don't realize it. I was talking to a friend tonight, and she was sharing with me how she was a caregiver for her mother and how she was afraid that she was going to have to give up some of her other responsibilities. And just as she was considering giving up these responsibilities, her nephew came and moved in and helped her with her mother. And that's just another indication of how God moves and how God puts things in place for us so that we can do this. And then I know there's someone out there that's listening to me to say, yeah, no, I wasn't chosen. I did not choose this. I did not want to do that. And I would caution you all, when you're feeling that way, to realize that even though you've made that choice under duress and under stress sometimes, you still made that choice. And I want us to learn how, as caregivers, to embrace that choice that we made, because ultimately it is a choice. No matter whether that's your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, no matter who that person is to you, you do ultimately have a choice, even though we don't feel like it sometimes. But if we can learn to embrace the fact that we were chosen, you were chosen, whether you realize it or not, you were chosen for this. You have been equipped to do this. And I want us to create this community so that we realize that, so that we all as caregivers recognize how important what we do is and how we are prepared to do it, even when it feels like we're not prepared. So I want you guys to join me over at the Caregiver's Promise. That is a Facebook group that I've started. In there, there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of information, and there's also caregivers joining and wanting to connect with one another. The only way we're going to move this needle forward is that we come together and we support one another and we take care of one another, and we make sure that as caregivers, we're no longer struggling. So I know I kind of got off of my story a little bit, and I apologize for that. Yes, Tammy, you're right. Yeah, you cannot return to that original state. And that's another thing about caregiving, is that caregiving changes you. I have learned so much, and I have become such a stronger person after becoming a caregiver and being a caregiver. And I know that's another reason I know that it was meant for me to do it, because of how much I grew. And I promise you, if you've been a caregiver, for any amount of time, if it was just for 30 days, a month, or whatever it was, I know that that experience helped you to grow and help you to become a better person. So again, y'all know I never stay on here long. I just want to always jump in, and I always want you all to just please continue to walk with me. There is a need for caregiving to change in America. The way we are doing this, the system is broken, guys. There's so many caregivers out there doing this by themselves, and they need your support and they need your love. And we need to change this. There's another thing that's bothering, it's bothering me, I'll be honest. In the last week, first I lost a friend of mine. And then I talked to another friend of mine. And then, who is a caregiver, the other friend is a caregiver. And then tonight I ran into one of my sorors. And the theme that kept coming up was that the reason why we don't know people are caregiving, or we don't know that people are sick, because my friend that died, she had been sick and I didn't even know she was ill. This word of private. We're such a private family. We keep everything to ourselves. But you know what? Because we're keeping it to ourselves, people aren't being able to step in and help us. And the thing with being private, like, we got to ask ourselves, why are we keeping it private? Illness is so natural. We all get ill. You shouldn't be ashamed. It shouldn't be a bad thing that a parent gets dementia. It shouldn't be a secret that someone has cancer. These are things that happen at no fault of our own. So why can't we share these things with those people that love us, that care about us, that are in relation with us? Why are we keeping it to ourselves? Why didn't I know my friend was sick? Why? Why didn't I know my friend was sick? Part of it is because the family didn't share it, but the bigger part of it is that I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I wasn't checking in on her. I wasn't calling on her regularly enough. So we've got to begin to bond together as a community of caregivers, a community of loved ones. And this is definitely not where I meant for this conversation to go tonight, but this is what's truly on my heart, is that we have got to change the way we look at illness. Illness is nothing to be embarrassed about. It happens to all of us. It is a time for us to come together. There's a time for us to embrace one another. So, y'all know I don't really like to be on here, so I'm going to get off of here. Now, yes, community is powerful. Power you will find in community. And caregivers, we must become community. We have got to stop hiding behind the shadows of shame and doubt and insecurities. And we've got to start leaning on one another. And we've got to allow people to help us and to support us and help us to get through these things together. So I don't want to preach. That's not what I'm on here for. That's not where my heart is at. But I want us to do this differently. People are drowning as caregivers, and we got to stop the bleeding. We've got to stop it. So I love you all. Thanks for listening. Y'all are amazing. Thank you all. I'll see you tomorrow night.